Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back again. I found a really cool topic to talk about. I keep throwing these videos out at you guys. Just want to do YouTube series. Anyway, I found a really cool topic of discussion. Now, many of you guys know I'm just here for Marvel discussions, and I thought, why not have a Marvel versus DC discussion through my opinion? And just to shed light on my Marvel obsession, and why not big up the bigger picture, so to speak, of why Marvel's better than DC in my opinion. So, first things first, when I got into superheroes, overall, I was exposed to first Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Awesome series, you can't deny that. I'm a 90s kid, so shut up. Obviously exposed to that. And then I saw the X-Men animated series, so that is obviously one of my favorite memories about, growing up as a 90s kid. And that's one of my favorite memories, was watching that friggin' show. It was awesome. Found my favorite superhero of all time in Wolverine. And at this time I did know about Superman and Batman and other DC characters. I did watch the Batman animated series, and that's just a classic. You can't deny that. And I will go on record as a huge Batman fan because of what the character stands for, and overall just a great character overall. Now, I'm obviously here to discuss why Marvel is way better than DC, but I will go on record that Batman is just badass. Anything about the character you find out is just interesting. But, obviously growing up, it just seemed like, through my opinion, like how Marvel characters seem more appealing to me than DC characters. Like, they get more personal and they humanize it, versus DC characters, how they're superhuman and they're supposed to be the classic superheroes. My buddy Joe told me about that, how he categorized them as DC. They're good characters, but they're classic superheroes, so they're not well developed. Him saying that, not me. So don't want any hate from DC fans. Sorry. And I kind of agree with them. Like, I do respect DC to an extent, but I gotta admit, DC, beyond the Batman universe, is very skeptical in my opinion, Like, I just don't get into the other guys. Like, you talk about any other DC universe / character, some of them are not really appealing to me. Like, Superman, let's start with Superman. Now, Superman, he has always come off as cheesy to me. Like, he's super strong, he's got laser vision, he can deflect bullets, he can fly. As a little kid, you think that's cool, but I was actually one of the weird ones that said, he just looks too cheesy. And it didn't help that he had underwear underneath, over his main costume. The red tighty whities. That's what I like to call them. And the little curl right there, what the hell? And then he's got an interesting background story, but obviously what he does to fight crime, it just seems cheesy, like, oh, we're going to stop Superman. And then Superman, all he has to do is one of his many powers and abilities, and it's just like, okay, the fight's over. Like, regular crime, yes, but then obviously, it's very interesting to see him go against General Zod. Help me out. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I know it too. There's General Zod. His arch enemy. I know you guys know this. The bald guy. Sorry for not being so descriptive. I wish I knew his name, but yeah, I obviously read up about Superman stuff. Obviously, I wouldn't be, ripping on the guy if I didn't know anything. That doesn't appease to me. So yeah, he just, like, his background story is interesting. How he came from a distant planet. You know, he comes to Earth to protect the Earth because that's his new home. I like that. That reminds me of Dragon Ball Z, obviously, because of Goku. He comes to Earth and he calls that his home. You know, Lex Luthor. There you go, guys. That way I'm not that stupid. That show you that I'm not that stupid. But yeah, he comes to Earth and, you know, like I said, he protects the world because that's his new home. And I like that. That's a cool story. It's just the look of him, how he does stuff, you know, it just doesn't you know, appeal to me. You know, and that's why, I guess, mainly why I've been against DC, because of their main poster boy, it's Superman. Cyborg is really cool. I don't know much about him. Obviously, I watched Teen Titans back in the day, so obviously DC has some credibility. It just seems like they don't reach out to the audience as much as Marvel, so to speak. Like I said, on record, love Batman to death. There's nothing wrong with that man. I mean, that character. Just that universe by itself is amazing. I played the games, I watched the movies, the series, everything about Batman almost. The other characters like Green Lantern, again, he comes off as cheesy. He uses a ring to make shit out of it and then fight crime with it, or yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to get into the Ryan Reynolds, oh, he was Green Lantern. No, I don't feel like talking about that. Because it was a bad thing from the beginning. Like, why would you make a Green Lantern movie? Like, I mean, again, he doesn't appease to me that. Like, Superman appeases me more to me versus Green Lantern. Green Lantern is more cheesy, I think, in certain aspects. Wonder Woman. Now, I'm going to go on record. I'm saying this from what I feel, and I don't act out on this, so don't, like, you know, look at me in a different way. The thing I have a problem with Wonder Woman is how she just looks like a sex symbol to me. I mean, come on, you got the boots and the tiara, and she's super strong. You know, she's got that glass figure, and obviously her getup, and she has a whip, for goodness sakes. Come on now. I mean, doesn't that not scream sex symbol? I'm not going to go into detail about it, but that's what it looks like. And obviously that's like, okay, you know, it's bad enough you sexified her, and yeah. I mean, it's cool that she's an Amazon, which is, I find those pretty interesting, that culture, the story, whatever, but obviously I can't take Wonder Woman seriously because of how she looks like a sex symbol, you know? And there's so many DC characters, obviously, but I'm trying to do the poster boys to my knowledge. I don't know that much about DC, but obviously I know a lot to know that Marvel's better than DC. So, I mean, Aquaman, who likes Aquaman? Seriously. He can call fish. That's all he can do. There's a reason why Family Guy made fun of him in South Park. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, yes. I mean, it was so funny. So yeah, you have no credibility that much with the DC universe compared to Marvel. Marvel, on the other hand, this is why I love Marvel. Okay, the creativity that they bring to their characters, how they can make an out-of-the-box character seem more appealing than DC characters. Like Rocket Raccoon. He's a talking raccoon. Technically not a raccoon if you know your knowledge, because he was spliced together with other organisms together, and, you know, projects and whatever, test subjects. He's a snarky, asshole-ish raccoon. I guess I'll say it like that just to ease the confusion, because that's his name. But I know he's not a raccoon. He's very smart, and he's crafty. I mean, come on now. I mean, how is that not appealing? And obviously, when they did Guardians, and I got to see more about his background, how they kind of put that in there when he was drunk and him and Drax were about to get into a fight. You know, how he's like, you always call me a rodent, and obviously I'm just like, so that's why he's an a-hole, you know what I mean? I mean, he's more appealing to me than any other DC character. Besides Batman. But yeah, I mean, Marvel, with their characters, what Stan Lee has done, and it's not all Stan Lee, I know, quote me, Stan Lee, Kirby, and all the great talented people at Marvel that did Marvel, they made a universe very, very truly unique, and made it very humanized. Spider-Man. You know, he's a kid doing, you know, superhero things, which you think that's adult. I mentioned this a couple times in my videos, maybe just one time in my one video, how he goes through so many trials. Obviously depicted in the movies, you know, comics, anything else. Like, obviously, he got back up on his horse after the Gwen Stacy death movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I just can't, for me personally, I would be devastated. But him, for a character to go through that, to lose his true love, and then go back to doing what he originally set out to do, was to be Spider-Man. And yeah, I mean, that's incredible. That's an awesome background story for a comic book character, to humanize him, but then make him obviously still superhuman. A superhero. I mean, Iron Man. Iron Man, the reason why he's Iron Man is it was first off an escape to get away from trouble. And his life depended on it. But obviously, he saw while he was trying to save his life, all his weapons and bombs and missiles were being used for no good. And when he got back, he upgraded his armor and made more Iron Man suits. And although people, obviously, if you know your Tony Stark / Iron Man that well, he's an arrogant, you know, people call him a douchebag, to label him. Just to label him. I love Tony Stark. You know, just a great character, I think. Just personality-wise, and then obviously he's Iron Man. But yeah, people would say he's selfish, a womanizer, a villain, you know, like a rich guy. You know, but he truly cares about the world, and he has to fix his mistake. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, for a billionaire who is a womanizer / a-hole by some people / anything that comes off as negative, he actually does in a good way. Or, excuse me, that's his personality. But obviously when he actually, up in here, and in here, he's actually a good person. I mean, just another creative character. Deadpool. I'll go, since you guys see this guy a lot, technically, in my videos, why not talk about him? Deadpool, he surprised the hell out of me when I first found out about him, like 5-10 years ago. Whatever. I don't keep track. Because I noted that with Marvel and most comic book heroes, excuse me, I've been having burps all day, I don't know why, how they seem always serious, you know what I mean? And when I first found out about Deadpool, just a little bit before, I think, the Origins movie. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, I think. Anyway, obviously, I found out how funny as hell he was. Obviously, he gravitated towards me because, okay, he's got swords, he's got guns, you know, ninjutsu, you know, his fighting style. And then when I found out about his personality, that's what attracted me to Deadpool. I was just like, who is this guy? And then obviously exposed to, you know, him in the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, I was like, what? Why would they do that? I think I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school when I first saw it. And obviously I was like, really? I didn't go on a huge rant, surprisingly, but obviously I was just like, the fuck? I was like, what the hell? And kind of, like, obviously he was still in my heart, and, until I got my hands on the Deadpool video game, I found it rekindled it, and obviously it was just classic Deadpool. Play the game, guys. You'll love it. People say, like, people will give it negatory, make negative comments about it, but hey, I'd rather waste money on that than, I don't know, a sports game that comes out every freaking year, or Call of Duty, even though I haven't played the new one, so it keeps me busy. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, Deadpool, what I love about Deadpool is he is not serious, hardly, if I can recall. He is just he's just a bottle of happiness. He's like, hee, tacos, boobs, He's just a funny ass character, man. That's what I love mainly about him. And then obviously, thirdly, he's got his swords and guns and how he combats. It's just awesome. You can't get enough of that guy because I love that guy to death. He may be my second favorite character, but he's just a very, very interesting character. He breaks the fourth wall. Come on now. I wish I could do that. But back to my main discussion, obviously. Like, if you guys are, some of you are DC fans, you guys got some good opinions. I respect the hell out of you guys. Don't worry. It just seems like Marvel, in my heart, not going to be major fanboyism right now, but I just think it kicks its ass, because, and it's not because of the movies they come out with. Alright? It's not because of the movies. I'm not going to use that argument. That's a beaten horse. I'm not going to fucking use that. So, hey, you got my attention, But yeah, I mean, it just seems like Marvel, when it was originally incepted with, Stan Lee and the not old people, but, the crew that started this, it's basically like they were able to put personality and flair into superheroes. With Batman, he's a very serious character, and I have no problem with him at all about that. Superman, very serious, very classy, yada yada yada, but no flair. Aquaman. I guess he's a serious character, even though he's very cheesy as hell. But no flair. If you know where I'm going is, I just don't see a flair besides the Batman universe, because, yeah, you guys know already. I just don't see the flair and the ecstasy of it, of DC as a whole. So, it's not the movies or anything. Seriously, I'm not going to use that argument. Yeah, I just firmly believe that Marvel has the greatest superheroes ever compared to DC, because that's its main competitor. And DC, I will always respect DC to a degree, but then again, in Marvel blows it out of the way. I'm sorry. I don't care if people are going to be like, you're just saying that because of the Marvel movies and da-da-da. Please. I've been liking this Marvel stuff since I was like, I don't know, 6, 7? So, I watched the X-Men animated series. I watched the Spider-Man animated series. I grew up knowing about those characters and falling more in love with those characters compared to Superman and the rest of the DC poster boys besides Batman, who I love. So, just saying, any negative DC fans out there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I don't agree with you, and yeah. I'm just trying to make this a better argument right now because I think I stated a lot of facts. I'm not perfect. I know my videos suck if you haven't seen. But, it's just the charm that Marvel has too. Like I said, with the Guardians movie, I didn't know personally a lot about them. But the way that they did it, though, the characters came to life. That's all I'm getting. I'm not using the argument with the movies. I'm not. But how I was exposed to it, because I never knew about Guardians. Because at first I was like, okay, a walking tree, an alien assassin, a ripoff of Han Solo, and a wrestler playing a destroyer. No pun intended. At first I was like, the hell is that? And then obviously that movie presented those characters off greatly, and how much joy and excitement I got out of that movie. And like I said, I'm not making this an argument with the movies. I'm trying to tell you specifically how basically those characters jumped off the screen. It's more of the characters than it actually is the movie. Background, what they do, this, that. Yeah. That's all I'm trying to get at. And that's why I use Guardians and the movie. I'm sorry, DC fanboys or people who hate, Yeah. I mean, I just think they have very creative characters, that they made, and the story that goes into Marvel. And I just don't see anything bad about Marvel, like, compared to DC. The only thing bad about Marvel I could see is how sometimes they do, like, their background stories don't get that creative and that specifically different, but sometimes you don't even notice it. I don't. Sometimes. And I'm not using that as an excuse about not using that as a negative. But I will admit that, actually. Excuse me. Scratch all that. So, yeah, I mean, overall, the reason why Marvel wins over DC as a whole, mano a mano, is because I think the characters are more creative, the universe is more creative, it's humanized. And I'll end off with this. When I saw the Stan Lee documentary on Netflix, he talked about how he looked at DC, didn't criticize it, he looked at it, and he said, why not, make our characters more humanized? Because DC was portraying them in a different, the classic way, like I talked about. And Stan Lee took that to heart. Him and his crew wanted to put his flair, his excitement into it. Kind of made it more enjoyable and more approachable. I mean, that's why I guess you could say people like Spider-Man a lot. They like the Hulk. Kids-wise, excuse me. Kids love Spider-Man. They love the Hulk. Before the movie, excuse me. Another poster boy would be Wolverine. Like I said, I'm trying not to use the movies so I can win an argument. Beforehand. Like, obviously, there's a lot more popular characters, that kids loved and adored. I was one of those kids, and that was mainly Wolverine, so, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. So, I guess I could leave you guys off with this, and like, comment, subscribe, where the bullcrap is. But I'm honestly wanting to hear you guys' opinions, because I don't want to do this series by just talking to myself and people not looking at this. So, seriously, make conversations with me, make comments, do stuff. It is a free country, isn't it? Alright, see you guys.